All right, family, you already know what time it is. It's Tasha, Mom Bear Prepping. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel where we just talk about all types of preparedness type items, opinions, things that are going on, current events, food preservation, all that good stuff. So today, I want to talk about, I guess, what I track, things that I'm paying attention to. So once in a while, I do a video like this where I talk about, hey, current events that I'm kind of tracking, paying attention to, things that personally matter to me, okay, and that I feel are important to be paying attention to and watching the outcome and watching what's happening with that said thing. Now, I get questions all the time, emails, personal DMs, all types of stuff where people are asking me, what are you tracking? What news outlets do you watch? Where do you get your information? How do you search online? You guys, that's a different video, but I do watch a lot of different stuff. I watch a lot of different news channels. I watch a lot of stuff online. I follow several channels. I watch, I go and visit researching different articles and different stuff online. If I hear about something that I think is important, I go searching to find the information. If it hasn't already been handed to me by another channel, sometimes then I'll just go and verify that or go look at that. So what I did this morning was I just took a basic list of the things that I'm paying attention to in the news, right? There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of stuff that they talk about, and it is a lot of bread and circuses, and it's very, very hard to determine what is important for you and your family, what has value in paying attention to it. It's not that the Ukraine war doesn't have any value and isn't important to track, but there's certain aspects of that whole dynamic that I personally am looking at and tracking, and it's not necessarily the actual war on the ground in Ukraine between Russia and Ukraine. It's really not. I don't want to be insensitive and be like it's the last thing I'm thinking about, but I just think that there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of information out there that it just doesn't behoove you to sit here and try to decipher who's telling the truth about what. And so I'm just going to basically get into the stuff that I am tracking. And there is an aspect of that war that I am tracking, okay? So let me pull up my notes, you guys. Still under the weather. Trust me, I'm doing all the things, you guys. Vitamins, teas, all that good stuff. It's just something that we got to get through in our family right now. Okay, and I'm like at the end of it. Everybody else is like done. They all started before me, and they all kind of wrapped up this weekend, and now mine's ramping up. I started feeling kind of under the weather at the end of last week, but it wasn't much. It was just my throat, and now I'm following suit where they were all at last week with the sinus and the congestion. But no big deal. I'm totally fine, okay? Besides sounding a little blah blah. All right, you guys, so these are the things that I'm paying attention to in the news. Now there's other things that family, to me, my values, my moral background, how I feel about life in general and my opinions about things, political or otherwise. I have opinions, and there's things that I'm watching in the news, but when it comes to preparedness, why I prepare, things that matter to me in regards to preparedness that are directly linked to that, these are the things that I'm paying attention to. I'm currently, and I've been paying attention to the border situation. I think the border situation, man, if I lived in a southern state, fortification would be probably my top game, okay? Because there is great people coming over the border that I have no qualms with. To be honest, I don't want to get into whether we should let people in this country or not. I do believe, though, that there should be vetting involved, and that we should be making sure that bad things are not getting through. And when you have a broken system like we have, and you have droves and droves of people that are coming over, and you cannot guarantee that bad people are coming over, that's a bad thing, right? And the fact that we're now relooking at laws, we're looking at different things and pulling back policies and making policies and trying to figure out what we're going to do, that's a horrible situation, right? Excuse me. That's a horrible situation. I don't want to full on blow my nose, you guys, in front of you guys. That's a full blown situation that it has the potential here very, very soon to get worse, which it almost is unfathomable that it could even get worse because droves and droves of people are coming over. Fentanyl deaths are the highest. I mean, it's just the cartels are loving this. And if you start pulling back policies, the very little policies that we already have, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Okay. And it's doing nothing but negative things, for us overall, and those border states. I can't, like I said, I can't even imagine. Okay. So something I've been watching, I think that it's interesting that now all of a sudden people are paying attention, now because of the discussion of Title 42, but nobody's cared this whole time, this whole year, this stuff has been going on. Nobody has cared, at all about what is going on, like no attention whatsoever. And to me, for us to care about other people's borders, Ukraine border, Belarus borders with Poland, before we were caring about all this stuff, we care about all these other borders, and we just could give two shits about our own border and our own situation. And God forbid something major happens. My concern is, if we can't handle this, how do we handle if something crazy happens, like a World War Z type virus, disease, something major happens, something major that we need to seriously close our borders and not let anybody in or out because it is serious. How do we do that? How do we even know our government has the ability to do that when we can't even simply keep out normal migrants, coming across the border down south? It's just ridiculous when you think about the big picture about what this means and our capabilities of what we can do and not do. Just ridiculous. Next thing I'm watching is Poland military buildup. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about this, but just know that I know of local people who are Army Reserve and have been activated. Now, you guys, militarily being activated is no big deal. People do that all the time. Deployments get moved up all the time because of situations that are going on in the world. That is not anything to be like, oh, somebody got deployed. No big deal, okay? What I will tell you is a big deal is right now, a unit that was supposed to go somewhere, maybe summertime, and now being told to move up, and they're going to Poland. So the only thing that gives me pause in that whole thing I just said is the fact that they are now going to Poland. So that makes me wonder, okay, wow, we're still sending troops to Poland. I'm going to tell you the second piece that has me concerned, or what I consider to be a moment of like, oh, what's going on? Any unit that has to turn around and is told within 2 days you are up and out, that is a big deal. Okay. Units do train. There are units that are specifically trained to turn around like that, to do a turnaround, to say, hey, one day you're not going anywhere, phone call, you're leaving in 2 days, get your stuff ready. And those, soldiers and Marines and Navy personnel and sailors, all those people that affects, they have to do that in 2 days. They have to uplift their lives. They have to turn off bills, give notices at homes, put their dogs and animals in homes. They have to, what do they do with their children? That's a big deal. And it's a big deal when you go from just, hey, I'm deploying, or even a deployment moving up in schedule. Not a big deal, right? But right now, today, any troops that are specifically being told to go to Poland has me for pause. And then that by itself is not really that big of a deal. Of course, we're going to posture ourselves and be ready for anything that might come our way. That's you guys, that's normal stuff. But the 2-day turnaround is it means something, okay? Why a 2-day turnaround and not 2 weeks? 2 weeks makes a huge difference. But when you're talking about, hey, you got 2 days to get ready, pack up, you're leaving, that tells you something, that there's some of importance. And of course, what are those people's jobs? What do they do? I won't get into that. I'm not going to get into any kind of OPSEC, anything. I just don't want to talk about troop movements and troops moving, and what type of troops we're sending over there. They can figure it out. Now, but it's something I'm watching, and it's the only aspect that I've truly cared. I'm not even paying attention so much to NATO movements. Before I did care a little bit about NATO movements, but I really, I don't care. What I care about is troops, our troops, U.S. troops, and where those troops are and where those troops are being sent, and in what manner are they being sent there. What type of troops, how fast are the turnarounds, you know, for our top generals and our top military personnel to finally have made it over there and made it over there recently, and it's kind of all in the same time frame that I'm talking about these other troops leaving. That, I mean, it matters to me, okay? It gives me pause, like, so it's something I'm tracking. It's something I'm paying attention. I'm not saying anything is building up or about to happen. I'm just saying that we're making some moves, posturing in a couple of ways that make me as a military person, what's going on, okay? Because the things that make, let me make this clear too. The things that make civilians, and I'm giggling a little bit because the things that make civilians pause and be like, oh man, did you what's going on with the military? Or I saw this and this. All those things can be explained, and they're normal things. I would venture that there was training, military training in your area before, and you just never noticed it. But because something is happening, all of a sudden you are noticing troop movement, you know, helicopters, you know, you're seeing convoys, you're seeing things, and civilians are real quick to be like, I saw a convoy, it was like 50 trucks. And those are just guys and gals on a regular training evolution, you know, zipping down the freeway from one training evolution to their unit. I mean, it's just silly, okay? Not everything is a conspiracy when it comes to when you see military movement and you see folks on the ground. Things that give me pause is when I see convoys with certain aspects, certain things, right? You see very high grade military movement of certain things that, you know, appear to be secret squirrel type movements, like whatever, okay? I'm not going to get too deep into it, okay? Next thing I'm watching is a subscriber sent me some information about Ebola outbreak again. So again, not anything to panic about. There was a man who died back in like March or April, right? He had several contacts. He had been traveling, and that man died, and then there was a small outbreak after that, but they got it under control, right? They treated all the people, they found all his contacts, everything was fine. It's been several months since then. But now there's another outbreak, and it's in the same area, the Republic of Congo, that same area. So what I would say is not anything to panic about, you know, just be knowing when things like this happen, in different parts of the world. It is important for you to just know that that is happening, because if something does start to truly outbreak and spread out and go to different locations, you need to be on top of that. Okay. And so it's good to know that, hey, they're having an issue with an outbreak right now, and so that you're at least paying attention to that type of stuff and the news in regards to that, and not just, you know, sleeping under a rock, okay? Another thing, but now that it's happened, like, I'll be following that just until it kind of fizzles out again, which is what I expected to do. But I'll stay on top of that because I'll want to know as soon as anything happens, any kind of movements, as soon as you see it in some other country, whatever. That's the problem, right? The problem is flights are open. There's a lot of different ways to you know, and the thing with, by the time they catch Ebola, you know, a few weeks have gone by. And so that's the problem, is how far has it outreached or gotten with contacts, you know, and where has it possibly gone in the world before they realized, okay, there's something going on here, there's an outbreak, and then now they're, you know, hot and heavy on it. So just something to watch. Next thing I am watching is food attacks and anything to do with farmer restrictions, farmers being told don't do stuff, farmers being told they can't get fertilizer, any kind of food attacks, these attacks that have been happening on food distribution places, fires. It's just ridiculous and a huge coincidence that all these places are all of a sudden having fires. And so I'm paying attention to this stuff, right? These are red flag warnings. When stuff like this keeps happening, this is red flag. Huge food distributors, places closing. Tommy Homestead, she's been talking a lot lately of Walmart's closing down, shuttering, certain ones, not all of them, obviously, you guys. So there's a lot of movement when it comes to our food supply system and paying attention to that. And so anything in that realm is really what I'm paying attention to. But recently, it's been a lot of that. The food attacks is crazy to me, and farmers and fertilizer and just all the things that are happening right now with those folks. Okay, that's the stuff that I'm paying attention to. I'm paying attention to weather. The season just started, growing season just started. I'm paying attention to weather because obviously I don't want any kind of crazy frost dates to pop up on me unexpectedly. I want to try to get ahead of any kind of crazy heavy rainfall or heavy hail, thunderstorms. For us, it's very windy here at times. So me trying to stay ahead of wind and protecting plants and making sure that my plants make it through the growing season until, we get to some better weather. Again, too, there's multiple growing seasons. So next winter, how do I battle that? How do I battle heavy rain, heavy snow? I'm tracking weather as far as people and all my red states folks, right? Down south, all those folks that just the weather, man, hurricanes and tornadoes and just it's heavy. Okay. And so I'm constantly tracking weather, not just for my state, my area. Obviously I'm doing that mostly for the growing food, but I'm always tracking weather in other states and how that affects everybody. I have a lot of people that I love in a lot of other states. And so I care about what's going on with them in regards to these heavy storms and them again, also trying to grow food in these areas and how they're battling it. It's a lot, but it's important. Okay. It's very, very important because these weather patterns are changing and you got to stay up on game or you're not going to be able to handle it. Okay. Next thing I'm tracking is bird flu situation. So I'm not tracking this a whole lot, you guys. I've read a couple articles on it. I am kind of tracking it on different states that it's in. How heavy is it? The everyday person like us, is there anything that we need to be concerned with or do or whatever? Basically, how does this affect us? And it's going to get worse, I think, before it gets better. And so just tracking how, again, this is going to affect our food supply chain. Okay. All of this stuff is linked, you guys. Next thing I have is the China outbreak. Still a thing, you guys. That didn't go away. They're still being locked down in Shanghai. It's still crazy with their rights. They're still taking people off to different camps. They're not letting anybody go anywhere. People are starving. People are committing suicide. It's still a bad look over there. That didn't just go away overnight. After a few people talk about it, it just goes away. No, it doesn't. Okay. It's just, it's not good. And the reason why I care, I guess, or pay attention is because watching them and watching their government and how they're handling people, and then you put that side by side on FEMA and how we think that things would go down if things got to a certain point. And this doesn't just, I'm not caring about so much about COVID and what that looks like for us. I am a little bit, but I'm talking about future outbreaks, future illnesses, future diseases, and our response and how FEMA would treat us. And so watching another government and how they're treating their people and what their people are doing and how their people are prepared and what people are their response, the people that aren't prepared, what they're doing, right? That is all huge intel and information that is very, very important that you learn and watch and glean from, because there's stuff that can be learned from that, okay? So that if we ever find ourselves in any kind of situation, even remotely close to that, we've already kind of have a clue of what could happen, things that they could try to impose on us. How would you prepare? And you can battle that now, okay? And then the last thing is our own personal COVID mayhem, right? I'm tracking it to the sense of just keeping my head on a swivel, just paying attention. I'm not giving it a lot of thought and process as far as tracking. Back in the day, I used to just really be on top of this and tracking and all. I'm like everybody else. I've had too much. I'm done talking about it, but I think that it's important to continue to watch it from afar. Watch what it's doing. I don't panic. I'm seeing an uptick in all these states. I'm not panicked. You and your family will make decisions on what to do and when to do that. I'll pay attention to stuff. I'm still not jabbed and I'm still here, you guys, still kicking. I think it will, I don't want to say it's scary, but I just hope that we're past the major BS behind it, right? With the whole division of people, rights of people, attacking of people and their rights and their decisions. I just hope we're past that. Of course, I don't want to see any more people severely sick or die. But I'm definitely beyond, the overall thing of it, but I'm watching the mayhem slowly start to creep up into our news channels and our news feeds, and they're slowly trying to talk about this thing coming back and that it's coming. And then you have of course all the confusion and back and forth with policies and mandates and all the just trash. It's all trash, you guys. But I pay attention. I'm not one to be like, this is not important and I'm not gonna watch it. I'm paying attention. I'm just not giving it, all day and hours and just all this angst over it. It's just not even remotely worth it. So I hope you guys are well. I know I'm on here today with this tissue. My nose is running. I sound sick. I'm just congested. I'm totally fine. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to finish this coffee. Then I'm going to start drinking my water. Probably have a little bit of tea and some toast later. I'm going to be okay, you guys. Looking forward to the comments below. What's your guys' thoughts, right? What are you guys tracking right now that I'm not tracking, that you think it's important to track? Let the group know. Let us know. And we'll see you tomorrow on the next video. Take care. Bye.